Before the headlines, before the arrest, before the courtroom, there was a channel. It was called 8 Passengers, a smiling mother, a clean suburban home, 6 children lined up for school photos, morning routines, packed lunches, birthday surprises, discipline framed as structure, faith presented as foundation. For years, Ruby Franke built an image that resonated deeply with viewers across America. Her YouTube channel, launched in 2015, documented daily life as a strict but devoted mother. Millions subscribed. Videos generated millions of views. Brand partnerships followed. To her audience, she represented order in a chaotic world. But online, something else was happening. Clips began circulating outside her channel. Short moments that felt uncomfortable. A son forced to sleep on a beanbag chair for months as punishment. A child publicly disciplined for forgetting a lunch. Conversations where affection felt conditional. Some viewers defended her parenting style as firm but loving. Others called it extreme. The debate grew louder. But the channel kept posting. Behind the scenes, Ruby's content evolved. Parenting advice became stricter. Messages about obedience and consequences became more absolute. Critics were dismissed as people who didn't understand. And then another figure entered the story. Jodi Hildebrandt, a licensed counselor and founder of a life coaching program called Connections. She appeared alongside Ruby in videos discussing morality, truth, and discipline. The tone shifted again. What had once been structured parenting began to feel ideological. Viewers noticed the difference. So did Ruby's own family. Over time, Ruby's husband Kevin appeared less frequently. Then he disappeared from the channel entirely. Rumors spread online. Separation speculation. Internal conflict. Ruby insisted everything was aligned with her values. But subscribers were dropping. The public image was cracking. Then in August 2023, everything changed. A 911 call was placed in Washington County, Utah. A young boy had appeared at a neighbor's house asking for help. He was visibly malnourished, injured, frightened. Police responded immediately. When officers entered the home connected to Ruby Franke and Jodi Hildebrandt, what they found triggered a criminal investigation that would shock even those who had been critical for years. The online debate stopped. The headlines began. Ruby Franke was arrested. Court documents later revealed allegations of severe abuse involving 2 of her children. The charges were serious aggravated child abuse. The woman, who had once built a brand around discipline and moral parenting, was now facing prison. And the public reaction was immediate. Clips resurfaced. Old videos reanalyzed, statements dissected, influencer culture questioned. How could this happen in plain sight? How could millions watch and miss it? Or did they? In the days following the arrest, investigators worked quietly. Details emerged slowly through legal filings and official reports. Ruby Franke and Jodi Hildebrandt were both charged. Bail was denied, and the case moved toward court. For the first time, the curated image was gone. No edits, no background music, no scripted smiles, just legal reality. The rise of 8 Passengers had been documented publicly. Now the fall would be too. And as more information came to light, one uncomfortable truth began to settle in. The camera had been rolling for years. but it hadn't shown everything. When Ruby Franke walked into court, there were no thumbnails, no upbeat music, no carefully framed family scenes. There were only charges, and this time, the story wasn't hers to edit. In late 2023, prosecutors laid out the case in detail through court filings. The allegations centered on two of her children, who authorities said had been subjected to prolonged abuse. The injuries described in official documents were serious enough that the case quickly escalated beyond a local headline. Bail was denied. Both Ruby Franke and Jodi Hildebrandt faced multiple counts of aggravated child abuse. The charges carried significant prison time if convicted. For years, millions had watched Ruby present herself as a moral authority on parenting. Now, in a courtroom, those same years of public footage became part of a wider conversation. Not as legal evidence of abuse, but as context. People began rewatching old videos with a different lens. Moments that once seemed strict now felt alarming. Punishments that once sparked debate now felt deeply troubling. And a larger question took shape. How much can we really know about someone through a screen? In December 2023, Ruby Franke entered a plea agreement. She pleaded guilty to multiple counts of aggravated child abuse. The plea avoided a trial but confirmed the seriousness of the case. Court documents detailed sustained physical and emotional harm. The judge described the abuse as deeply disturbing. In early 2024, sentencing followed. Ruby Franke was sentenced to prison under Utah law, with the potential for years behind bars depending on parole decisions. Jodi Hildebrandt received a similar sentence. The courtroom was quiet when the sentences were read. Outside, cameras waited. For the Franke children, privacy protections limited what could be shared publicly. Officials emphasized their safety and recovery. Child welfare services became involved. Custody arrangements changed. The focus shifted from internet controversy to real-world consequences. The YouTube channel was removed. The brand disappeared. But the cultural impact did not. The case ignited national conversations about family vlogging, online parenting influencers, and the ethics of monetizing children's lives. For years, audiences had consumed daily routines as entertainment. Bedtimes, punishments, emotional moments, discipline, growth, all packaged as relatable content. But Ruby Franke's case forced viewers to confront a harder reality. Where is the line between parenting and performance? Between structure and control? Between sharing and exploitation? Lawmakers in several states began discussing stronger protections for children featured in monetized content. Advocacy groups renewed calls for regulation. Other family influencers faced renewed scrutiny. The trust between audience and creator had shifted. What made the Ruby Franke case uniquely unsettling wasn't just the severity of the charges. It was the transparency illusion. The family had been visible, public, seemingly open. Millions felt like they knew them. And yet, the most serious harm had gone unseen. That contradiction lingered long after sentencing. Kevin Franke, Ruby's husband, later publicly stated he had been separated from Ruby during the period when the abuse occurred. He cooperated with investigators and sought custody of the children. The legal process moved forward, but online, the conversation refused to fade. Some asked how warning signs were missed. Others argued they weren't missed at all, that viewers had raised concerns for years, only to be dismissed. In hindsight, the signs felt clearer. But hindsight doesn't protect children. The case also exposed the power of ideology when mixed with influence. Ruby and Jodi's teachings centered on rigid moral frameworks, obedience, and extreme accountability. In court, prosecutors argued those beliefs translated into harmful actions. The transformation from family vlogger to convicted felon wasn't sudden. It was gradual, incremental, hidden behind the comfort of routine uploads and carefully curated storytelling. Today, the channel that once documented daily life is gone. The house is quiet. The comment sections have disappeared. But the case remains one of the most talked about examples of influencer culture colliding with criminal justice. It changed how audiences view family content. It changed how platforms think about oversight. And it raised a question that still hasn't been fully answered. When cameras enter a home, who are they really protecting? Ruby Franke built a following by showing what looked like discipline and devotion. In the end, the justice system told a very different story, and for many viewers, the lesson wasn't just about one family. It was about the danger of mistaking visibility for truth, because sometimes the darkest chapters aren't hidden in the shadows. They're uploaded in plain sight. If this story made you rethink what you see online, remember not every smile on camera tells the full story. For more real crime investigations that go beyond the headlines, subscribe.